Welcome to our channel. We're exploring the world of the most valuable and rare Washington quarters. These coins have captured the hearts of collectors everywhere, not just because of their history or design, but because some of them hide incredible stories and surprising values. Among these, one coin stands out as truly extraordinary, the 1982 USA $quarter D coin. Imagine holding a small, unassuming piece of metal in your hand. To most people, it looks like any ordinary quarter, just one of many coins jingling in a pocket or gathering dust in a drawer. But what if I told you this tiny, everyday object hides a fascinating story and something truly special that makes it stand out among millions of others? Let's travel back to 1982. The United States was going through a period of change, economically, politically, and culturally. Ronald Reagan had just become president, and the country was working hard to overcome inflation and stabilize its economy. For everyday Americans, the quarter was just a tool for simple transactions, paying for snacks, parking meters, or small purchases. Yet, beneath that common use, there was an intricate world of craftsmanship, minting challenges, and rare surprises. The quarter we're focusing on was minted at the Denver Mint, which is why it carries the small D mint mark. The 1982 quarters from Denver are fascinating for several reasons. This year marked a time when the U.S. Mint was adjusting to rising metal costs and experimenting with production techniques. These changes caused subtle differences in the coins produced, differences that today can mean a lot to collectors. Now, picture the quarter's design. On the front, we see the familiar face of George Washington, the first U.S. president, gazing solemnly to the left. This design has been a fixture since 1932, created by sculptor John Flanagan. It's an iconic image that carries with it the weight of American history and tradition. But when you examine a 1982 D quarter closely, you might notice small details that make it unique, like the sharpness of the strike, the condition of the surface, or tiny variations that hint at minting quirks. Turn the coin over, and there's an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, a symbol of strength and peace used on quarters since 1932. In 1982, the details on the eagle, the feathers, arrows, and branches, sometimes appear slightly different due to how the coin was struck. These small differences have made certain coins from that year highly collectible. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1982 Denver quarter is an extremely rare minting error known as the double die. This happens when the coin's design is stamped twice in slightly different positions, causing a visible doubling effect on parts like the date or letters. Such errors are highly prized because they're so rare and unpredictable. For the 1982 D quarter, the double die version is almost legendary. Only a handful of these coins are known to exist, making them highly sought after by collectors. Imagine stumbling upon one of these rare coins tucked away in your change. It's like finding a hidden treasure. But there's more to the story. 1982 was a transitional year for U.S. coinage. The Mint had stopped producing silver quarters back in 1965 and switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. While the 1982 quarter isn't silver, this period of transition adds an extra layer of interest for collectors who pay close attention to the metals and finishes used in coins. Why do collectors get so excited about these coins? It's a mix of rarity, condition, and demand. Coins are graded on how well they've survived over time, considering factors like shine, strike quality, and surface marks. A 1982 D double die quarter in nearly perfect condition can fetch prices that seem unbelievable. What really draws people to these coins is more than money, it's the story, the mystery, and the connection to history. Owning one is like holding a tangible piece of the past, a physical link to a moment frozen in time. Many of these rare error coins are found by ordinary people, not professional collectors. Sometimes someone gets change and notices something unusual about a coin. These discoveries can create a buzz in the collecting world and add to the coin's mystique. The coin market itself is influenced by economic conditions. During uncertain times, collectors often turn to rare coins as safe investments, pushing their prices even higher. Beyond all that, the artistry behind the coin's design is remarkable. The U.S. Mint employs skilled engravers who produce millions of coins with incredible precision. Yet, the occasional mistake, like a double die, turns what would be a mass-produced item into something truly unique. The 1982 D quarter is a perfect example of how a small, everyday object can become a valuable piece of history. art, and economics all rolled into one. Collectors also love to compare it with other quarters from the same era or other era coins, making collecting a lifelong adventure full of discovery. Picture yourself at a coin auction where one of these rare 1982 double die quarters is up for bid. The excitement builds as collectors compete, driving the price higher and higher. By the time the hammer falls, this unassuming coin has reached an astonishing value, an incredible $85,000. Yes, a single quarter, worth more than most would ever imagine. So next time you hold a quarter, take a closer look. You never know what stories it might be hiding. The next rare quarter we're looking at comes from 1991, minted at the Denver Mint and marked with the small D on its face. To the casual observer, it might look like just another coin among millions in circulation. But for collectors, this quarter holds a fascinating secret, one that transforms it from an everyday piece of change into a coveted treasure. The early 1990s were an interesting time for the U.S. Mint. Having produced coins for decades with steady consistency, the Mint faced growing demand and new technological advances that challenged quality control. Despite their best efforts, mistakes occasionally made their way into the minting process. Sometimes these mistakes resulted in errors that are now incredibly valuable to collectors, and the 1991 D quarter is one such example. What makes this coin so special is a minting error known as the double die. To understand why this is important, it helps to know how coins are made. Each coin starts as a plain metal blank, which is then pressed between two engraved dies. These dies imprint the coin's design, including important details like the date, lettering, and images. But during preparation, if a die is accidentally struck more than once and slightly misaligned, it causes the coin to have a doubled or ghosted image. On the 1991 D quarter, this doubling is most visible on the date, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." At first glance, this doubling might look like a simple smudge or shadow. But once you know what to look for, the doubled lines jump out unmistakably. This is exactly why collectors prize these coins, their rarity and the uniqueness that sets them apart from the millions of flawless quarters minted that year. Only a limited number of these double die quarters were struck before the error was caught and corrected. Over time, many have been lost to circulation, melted down, or damaged, which makes finding one in good condition something special. Condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. Coins are graded on how well they've been preserved, with experts examining the sharpness of details, surface quality, luster, and any signs of wear or damage. A 1991 D double die quarter that has remained in near mint or uncirculated condition can fetch a premium price, because it preserves the original striking of the doubled image in crisp detail. But the value of this coin goes beyond just the minting error or condition. It tells a story of how even in the mass production of everyday items, human error and chance can create something extraordinary. The 1991 D double die quarter embodies this intersection of art, craft, and unpredictability. For many collectors, the joy is not just in owning the coin but in the hunt. Imagine digging through rolls of quarters, scanning each one carefully for that telltale doubled date or letter. The excitement of discovering a rare error coin is what drives collectors to spend hours searching, learning, and sharing knowledge with others who share their passion. The market for rare coins like this has grown substantially over the years. When economies fluctuate, collectors and investors often look to tangible assets that hold intrinsic value. Rare coins, especially those with documented rarity and historical significance, are seen as safe investments and status symbols. This has pushed the value of coins like the 1991 D double die quarter ever higher. Beyond its investment appeal, this coin is a tribute to the skilled engravers who design and craft the dies used in minting. Their work captures symbols of American heritage, George Washington's profile, national mottos, and the proud eagle on the reverse. And while technology today allows for incredibly precise production, the occasional error reminds us of the human hand behind the process. Collectors often compare the 1991 D quarter with other Washington quarters from the same era, and especially with other mint errors. This comparison fosters a community of enthusiasts who share stories, verify finds, and celebrate the fascinating details that make coin collecting a lifelong hobby. It's also worth noting that the 1991 D double die quarter has become a benchmark among collectors who specialize in error coins. Finding one in pristine condition can be a crowning achievement, often sparking lively discussion in coin forums and social media groups. Picture a major coin auction, where collectors from across the country and around the world gather to bid on rare pieces. When the 1991 D double die quarter comes up for sale, the atmosphere is electric. Bidders raise their paddles, each hoping to add this elusive coin to their collection. The bidding climbs steadily, reflecting not just the coin's rarity but the deep appreciation collectors have for the story it tells. Finally, when the hammer falls, this once ordinary quarter commands an astonishing $71,000. This incredible price speaks volumes about the coin's rarity, condition, and the passion it inspires among collectors. What was once loose change has transformed into a prized artifact that connects us to the history and craftsmanship of American coinage. So, the next time you find yourself holding a quarter, take a closer look. Beneath its familiar design could lie a rare story, a piece of history, or even a hidden fortune. Up next is a coin that you've probably seen hundreds of times without ever giving it a second thought, the 1998 Washington quarter, minted in Philadelphia, marked with the letter P. But one version of this coin isn't like the rest. It's a coin that defied the odds, slipped past the sharp eyes of the U.S. Mint, and has since become one of the most exciting modern-era quarters known to collectors. 1998 may not seem like that long ago, but in the world of U.S. coinage, it was a turning point. That year marked the final full year before the launch of the massive 50-state quarters program, a campaign that would go on to change the landscape of modern collecting. The eagle design on the reverse, which had appeared on quarters for decades, was about to be retired. And as it turned out, one last surprise would emerge from that final year, a coin that was never meant to be rare, but ended up rewriting its own story. At first glance, this 1998 P quarter might seem ordinary. Same portrait of George Washington, same eagle on the back, same nickel-clad copper composition. But one small error during the minting process made this version incredibly unique, and incredibly desirable. We're talking about an off-center strike. It happens when the metal blank, known as a planchet, isn't properly centered between the dies that stamp the coin's design. The result is dramatic. The coin's image appears skewed or cut off, with blank space where part of the design should be. It's immediately noticeable, even to an untrained eye. Some off-center errors are minor, just a slight shift, but the most valuable ones are bold, clear, and well-defined, just like the 1998 P-era quarter we're focusing on today. This kind of mistake doesn't happen often, and when it does, most examples are pulled from production. But a few slip through. And once they enter circulation, they become incredibly difficult to trace. Many are lost forever in the hands of people who have no idea what they're holding. That's what makes surviving specimens, especially in high grade, so sought after. Now let's talk about the Philadelphia Mint. It's one of the oldest and most active mints in the country, producing billions of coins each year. Even with precise machinery and advanced quality controls, mistakes do happen. And in the case of this 1998 P quarter, that mistake turned a routine piece of pocket change into a collector's dream. The thing that makes this particular quarter even more exciting is the context. It was minted at the end of an era, a final bow before the state quarters would forever change how Americans view the 25-cent piece. This was the last time the classic eagle would be minted for general circulation, which already gives it a certain historical significance. Combine that with a bold mint error, and you have a perfect storm of rarity and relevance. Collectors are drawn to coins like this not only for their scarcity, but also for their visual appeal. Off-center errors are dramatic. They're immediately obvious, making them excellent showpieces, the kind of coin that gets passed around at collector meetings, admired from every angle, and used as a conversation starter. Now imagine the collector who first spotted this coin. Maybe it showed up in a roll of bank-wrapped quarters. Maybe it had been sitting in a jar for years before someone finally looked closely enough to realize what they had. That moment of discovery, when you realize you're holding a piece of minting history, is one of the greatest thrills in the hobby. And then there's the question of condition. Error or not, condition always plays a major role in a coin's value. The fewer the marks, the sharper the details, and the higher the luster, the better. When an error coin like this is also in near-perfect condition, no significant wear, brilliant surfaces, and a strong off-center strike, its value climbs dramatically. What sets this quarter apart from other errors is not just the mistake itself, but the combination of timing, rarity, and preservation. A bold mint error on a coin from a transitional year, minted at a major facility, and found in pristine shape, that's what collectors dream of. As word of this coin spread in numismatic circles, the excitement grew. It was featured in collector blogs, discussed in forums, and even appeared in auction catalogs. Error coins always get attention, but when they also mark the close of a historical chapter, their appeal becomes even stronger. Coin collecting is full of surprises. You never know what's sitting in a change jar or hiding in a roll of coins until you look closely. Sometimes it's just a quarter, but sometimes, it's a hidden gem with a story all its own. That's exactly what happened with the 1998 P off-center quarter. It wasn't meant to be special. But thanks to a rare strike error, perfect timing, and a touch of luck, it became one of the most talked about modern quarters in recent memory. So what's it worth? That's the part that always brings people to the edge of their seats. After all, we're talking about a coin with a face value of 25 cents. But in the hands of a serious collector or investor, this quarter has fetched an incredible price, not just a few $100s, or even a few thousand. No, this very coin, under the right circumstances and in pristine condition, has sold for an astonishing $51,000. And that's the magic of numismatics, the art, the history, the errors, the stories, all wrapped up in coins that most people never stop to examine. So the next time you're handed a quarter, especially a 1998 P, take a closer look. You might just be holding something far more valuable than you think.